professional manner. Our city code allows for public comment up to 3 minutes, and for best sound quality, please remember to pull these microphones down and lean into them to speak. So with that, we'll kick off with the Finance Committee this evening.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Myself, Honovet, Ronnie Kurtz, Schwarzkopf, and Peel, all present for the Finance Committee. Under old business, grocery sales tax ordinance number 1551 should have been included in everyone's packet. If you remember, the discussion was to send it to the city attorney, implement the Redbud as the entity and the 1%. And I think that's all been done on the new ordinance. Is that correct? Okay. I would make it a motion to accept ordinance number 1551.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Under new business, make a motion to approve prior month's meeting minutes from September 16th, 2024.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same. Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the CD information. As you know, we do have two 12-month CDs that come due on 10/25 of this year. Presently, those two CDs are collecting on the 12-month CD 5.45%. In your packets, you should have the current rates, and the current rates are broken down into I think we did it as 6 month. Yes, 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months. And those current rates are on the sheet. As you can tell, the Buena Vista seems to have the best rate really across the board. Other than if we did the 6 month, I guess they were a little bit low. They're actually the highest one on all of them.
Except for the 3 month.
Except for the 3 month.
Dietrich's the same on 3 months.
Yeah.
But
That is
yeah,
correct.
my opinion is though, probably to do them for a year. Do we really want to
I don't think,
mess with them every 3 months?
yeah. So I would make a motion that we are reinvest on the 12-month CDs at Buena Vista Bank, again, at a rate of 4.65%.
So, or second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, same. Okay, motion carries. Next item under the agenda is the financial dashboard. Everyone should have a copy of that in their packet also. Just a quick synopsis of where we stand. To date, we are plus 5% on the revenue side, which amounts to about $126,735. And also to date, we are actually down on expenditures 28%, which is 1.553 million. So both are trending in the right direction. Next item on the agenda is the RMA insurance renewal. And everyone should have a copy of that. They did go up slightly, and I had Liz run me the information off on where we came in. Under the workman's comp, the premium actually went down 17%. Under auto liability and comprehensive, it went up 4%. And correct me if I'm wrong, Jill, but I think she said that was mainly because of the Durango. Is that correct? That's what Liz. Okay,
I think that would make sense.
Yeah, that's what Liz had kind of indicated to me. Portable buildings went down 19%. Audio physical damage went down 6%. And then the property went up 15%. And from what I've been told, mainly that was due to the new splash pad.
Yes.
With the liability and everything on the new splash pad. So all in all, if you take the negatives and the positive pluses, the premium went up 2.5%. what we had paid previously. So it went from last year, 233,531 to this year, 239,624. And then if you add the $450 municipal league membership dues to that, is a total of 240,074.
But we get a 1% discount if we pay it all up front
Yes.
before 11/15, yeah, so we'd be okay.
That'll help offset that increase a little bit.
I mean, we normally do that anyways, don't we?
We have, yes, because we're able to do that.
No comments? I would make a motion that we renew the RMA contract for the insurance at the new rate and take advantage of the discount.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, same. Motion carries. Okay, I will probably, Jill, turn this over to you.
Okay.
Okay, we have requests from Reflections Windows and Door for additional hours for the city hall cleaning. And again, I will let Jill address that one.
Yeah, so originally he had bid us out to 65 hours, not to exceed. Once he got in here and started really cleaning, he's realizing the magnitude of kind of what he needs to do. So he's requesting anywhere between an additional 20 to 25 at his hourly rate of $35 an hour.
Now, is he including some of the things he suggested in his letter?
No, I told him to hang on. for that.
Because I mean,
Yeah.
some of that's going to be addressed when we do the city hall remodel. correct?
Exactly, and that's why I told him we're not really gonna get too excited about doing exterior things.
Right,
Because we've got that renovation project.
right.
But there are things like whenever you come in from City Hall, you know, the entryway could be cleaned up. You know, the steps by the mayor's office could be cleaned up, those types of things. But the only thing that I wanted to address tonight was just that he needs additional hours for his initial cleanup of City Hall to kind of bring it up to par to where he's at. Or his standards, I should say.
In your opinion, is he doing a good
Oh, my
job?
goodness,
Is
he
he-
is.
I mean, does it warrant the extra hours?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There's been a spot on the women's restroom stall that has been there since I started and it is no longer there. So I mean, he is literally going from floor to ceiling, wiping down the walls, fixtures, everything. So. Got a lot of energy.
I think we all knew it wasn't
Exactly,
the cleanest building in the world.
exactly. So,
All the stuff that's been neglected for years is finally getting caught up, is what's happening.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, pretty much.
okay, so he's looking for an additional 65 hours.
No, just an additional 20 to 25. I would say not to exceed 25 hours at his hourly rate of pay.
Okay. Make a motion to extend the contract for an additional 20 to 25 hours, not to exceed 25 hours at its current rate of pay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, I will probably let Jill take this one too, elevator maintenance.
Sure, so I've talked with the elevator repair company and the inspection companies a lot over the past few months. Our certification is still pending. We have the approval from everything. It's been mailed to Chicago and we're just waiting on that certificate to come back to us. But in the meantime, due to the age of our elevator, the repair that we came across earlier, just a few months ago, the total bill for that was over $3,000 just for a repair guy to come down, review it, find a part, install it, and then come back. That bill alone would pay for a maintenance program that they suggested. It's basically like the insurance policy, you know, we'd have a maintenance program with them. They would come down if something would break. They would need a repair guy to come down here. It would all be included in our monthly payment of this service plan. I think we're very lucky, at least according to the elevator repair guys, that nothing has broken more significantly. I think we're already exceeding the length and the term of the elevator in operation. So I think it would probably be worth it to have a maintenance program to where we can just pay a flat service fee. That way, if something additional goes wrong with it, we're not being charged per item moving forward.
I thought at one time we had a maintenance agreement, but I guess not.
We may have, we do not currently. So that's what is in your packet right now. It's just their service agreement fee. You can see there's some options on paying in advance, or if you'd like to do it monthly. It's not a overly huge savings, about $300.
So it appears then the total of the contract is $3,768, is that correct?
Correct. If you
And-
would do the annual advance payment.
Anyway,
I,
we've got maintenance contracts on a lot of other things we have, so.
well, and again, with the age of the elevator, I think it might be money well saved so that we keep passing inspections too.
Exactly.
I'll make a motion that we do a service contract with Cone in the amount of $3,768. Do we want to do it as one lump sum and save the money? And make the
Yes.
payment as one lump sum and save whatever savings there are there to be had?
That would be the discounted amount that you quoted. That would be like the $314 per month. That's the 3,768. So that would be with the annual advance payment. If we would do more, if you wanted to go up to that 8% increase for monthly payments, it would be 4,000.
Yeah, but the motion was to do it on the advance.
Yes.
Okay,
Second,
we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same. Motion carries. Okay, that should bring us to the end of Finance Committee at 6:15. Any public comments, anything for the good of the city? We'll adjourn at 6:15.
Okay, next up is Personnel Committee.
Both Personnel Committee order at 6:15. I have myself, Peel, Dojan, Gebert, and Reinecker here. We have no old business. Under new business, and make the motion to approve the prior month's meeting minutes of September 16, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Next up, make the motion that we end Jill Landgraf's 6-month probationary period effective October 19th, 2024.
second.
All right, motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Next up, I make a motion that we appoint Jill Landgraf as an FOIA officer.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, passes. Anything, public comments, anything for the good of the city? Hearing none, I will close it at 6:15.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Public Health and Safety.
Okay, we'll call the Public Health and Safety to order at 6:15. Myself, Reinecker, Gebert, Nevoy, and Dojan are all present. We have no old business. Under new business, I'll make a motion. We approve the September 16, 2024 minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Department activity report. You've all got a copy of it in your packets. Anybody got any questions for John? Hearing none, we'll move on. Approval to purchase Dodge Durango pursuit vehicle from Ed Morse. John, refresh my memory. I know we bought 2 last year, was it, to get caught up? And then we put 1 in for this year?
No, last year we bought the Tyler's Durango.
Okay,
Okay, and prior to that, we bought Nick's, and then prior to that, we had bought 2.
okay. So
So,
we budgeted for this, but we decided to wait until later in the
Correct.
year to order it. So effectively, it's probably not going to be in service till the end of February, first part of
Correct.
March is what we're thinking.
we'll have to have all the equipment installed, so it's
Yeah.
gonna be a little bit before it's actually in service.
Good. Now, this is the bid for the vehicle, not the equipment.
Just the vehicle, not the equipment.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we purchase a Dodge Durango pursuit vehicle from Ed Morris for the amount of $43,081.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. This one's yours, John.
All right. So this has been long and drawn out. So initially, I wasn't looking to purchase tasers this year. The Criminal Justice Authority had put out a grant. It was supposed to be a fully funded grant. Early in the year, a lot of people didn't apply for it. They reached out to try to get people to apply for it. I applied for it, and then they jerked a bunch of money out of the grant. So then what it's come down to is what we have in front of you for this Outlook page, showing that they're willing to pay for 5 tasers, rechargeable batteries, holsters, and the cartridges for 5 officers for 5 years. And then the rest is the stuff that we would have to pay for. So I got 4 quotes. First quote, the one that says total cost 33,000 and has estimated total cost with tax 35,000. That is for the purchase of the 5 tasers with all the stuff that they promised on the grant, but then the additional stuff we'd be paying for, which is on that Outlook page. The extra batteries and all the other stuff. So if you go to the back here, it explains that in January 2025 is when the Criminal Justice Authority, they'll take the 15,000 that they're gonna front for the grant. And then we would pay $440 or $4,486.70 for the next 4 years after that. That's 5 tasers, but I have 7 guys. So I told him, give me a quote for 7 tasers, since we would like to have everybody have a taser. And he said, be very simple or very similar, because with 7 tasers, you're outfitting your whole department, so we'll give you an extra 10% off everything. Okay, so that is the cost estimate that says 36,000, and with estimate it's 37,000, or with taxes with 37,000. Again, you turn to the back, and it gives you the payout on. They do the 15,000 on that first year on January of 2025. Then after that, it'd be 5,000 a year for 4 years. So they also offer a virtual reality training simulator. You know, the goggles and stuff where you can look around and you can train. They give you a Glock, simulated Glock, and a taser, and they train you with the virtual reality simulator. And that would be the third quote, which says 45,000 or 46,000, but that's still again with 5 tasers, not 7. And the layout is in the back again for payments on that. We decide to do that. Actually come up with 17,000 as far as the first payment, and then it'd be 7,000 each year after that for the next 4 years. The fourth bid is the exact same thing as the third bid, but with 7, again, tasers, so everybody would have a taser. I did not initially, again, plan to do this because our tasers, we've had tasers, but they reached out and wanted us to apply, and initially it was fully funded. Then all of a sudden they pulled the money out, and what it looks like to me, I went through all the grant, the people that got the grant, everybody got 5 tasers that applied to the grant, is what it looks like. So my question is, do we want to do it? Because they're more than willing to let me turn it down, because they've several times said, if you don't want to do it, just let us know.
So one of the questions I would have, we have 7 on the department. We're looking for 7 new tasers. What do we do when we have part-time officers come in?
We still have our older tasers, or we can trade them off. They're all gonna have to be trained on them. There is a part in here where it talks about where we train 5 officers. We don't need to train 5 officers to be taser trainers. We could train 1, or my boy who is part-time that works over in Okaville, he's already a taser trainer and they got the exact same thing that I'm talking to you about. So I could probably bring him over here and do the training. Have him do the training for us.
What I'm getting at is, do we need an additional one for the people when they come on duty? Because I'm assuming everybody keeps their equipment with them all the time. So when we have a part-timer come in,
I mean,
Well-
we can,
well,
but I don't know
do
if
they
it's
not need the same equipment?
necessary because we can trade them out if we need to trade them out, if we have a part-timer that works. They
I
can
mean,
take-
what are we doing now when they come in? Are they bringing in their own taser?
I usually have an extra one. I have a, what they call an X2. It can fire twice and I keep it in my, in the filing cabinet in there if they need to grab it. So,
So bottom line. If we turn this down. I mean, what are we looking at lifespan of our current tasers yet?
with a lifespan that Taser recommends is 5 years. Ours have exceeded that last year. So if we get this, by the time it's paid for, we'll need to buy more
They need to be
tasers
replaced.
according to their plan. So you'll never stop paying them for
Imagine that.
tasers.
Yeah.
All right?
So John, just a guesstimate or an average over the last year, how many times did we use taser? Or how many times did your officers use the
Well,
taser?
they have to fill out a use of force. We've had 5 taser deployments
Just last year or
Yes.
this year?
this year. So it's not a lot. I'd leave it up
If
to,
something goes south and we're past our limit, just like every other thing with safety equipment, what's our responsibility as a city for not keeping up on the stuff?
well, our training records is one, that's built into this whole program. The other part is, I don't know that Taser, because Taser usually defends their product. That if we're outside that 5 year, that they would send their attorneys to come defend their product, which defends us too. Because, for a while, they're claiming it did this, that did that, it caused people to have heart attacks. And they've always sent their own attorneys to defend their product and the officer. If it was used correctly.
But if it was used and malfunctioned, then because of the age of it, then that's
Then
kind
you
of
go
on,
hands-on.
that's
or-
on
yeah.
us then potentially.
How old were our tasers when we replaced them last time?
Oh, they were older than that. I think Dan bought the tasers before I replaced them with the X2s,
So they were probably 10, 12 years old,
probably. I would
every bit
say.
of that. So we're looking at another 5 years on what we've got.
Mhm. The benefit to these tasers also, right now, we have to buy new batteries every time. These actually come with a charge, where you charge the batteries. So that's the difference, and we're not buying batteries all the time either.
Which
So-
is how often?
Do I?
How often do we buy batteries?
Not really that much. I think I've bought 5 in the past, maybe, no, 10 in the past 2 years.
So if you say you have to buy a new one every time we use it?
No, not batteries. Batteries, when you click it on, it'll give you a readout of how much of the battery life's left.
Okay.
The more you obviously check it, make sure it's working. Because a lot of the guys, when they come on, are supposed to turn it on and pull the trigger and let it run through a full cycle to make sure it's working properly before they go out on the shift. So if they do that a couple times, yeah, it's going to start wearing the battery down quick.
So I guess I would probably be of the opinion that if we don't do this, we're not neglecting and putting our officers in danger.
I would say because the other ones lasted, doesn't mean these will last, but I don't know that these won't, but you're rolling the dice.
Well, yeah, of course,
Yeah.
anything's that way.
Yeah,
I mean, your cars are that way. They could all blow up tomorrow.
I agree. Yeah,
You know,
some of them do, some of them last a
Yeah.
long time.
I don't know.
So with this, we're still looking at getting approximately 15.6 from Ilias. Am I
Yes.
reading this correctly?
Uh-huh,
And if we put it off, we will potentially have nothing.
correct.
And it is gonna have to be something that has to be replaced. I mean, I would think within the next couple of years, we're gonna have to do it anyway, right? I would
say
assume. I
Couple of
mean,
years, yeah. We'd be looking at something else, or.
What would be your recommendation? You're the chief.
Well, you know. I like the virtual reality thing, but I mean, that's not necessarily, we have to do that. But I would like to get the seven tasers.
And really on your first quote, first two quotes, but the difference between 5 and 7 tasers looks like only around $550 a month or a year, whatever it was.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
like $1,000 difference.
It's not a lot because of the 10% discount on
Correct,
all the
yeah.
equipment
Right.
that they give you then.
Yeah, so I think if you're looking between those two, definitely the 7, I think would be the way to go.
And you said you could trade in the old ones. Do you know what you can get for them?
Next to nothing.
Oh, okay.
It's like anything else.
Okay.
Yeah, I would go with the 7 tasers if we're gonna do it.
John, we had talked about, is there any chance of using anybody else's simulation lab or anything like that?
Right, that's why I was kind of talking with my boy over, and I say my boy, I mean my son, over at Oakville. They're getting the simulator and all that over there, so. I'm gonna assume that it's not gonna be department specific and that we could utilize it.
It's a great training tool. If, we go that route, I know they're pretty good.
Do they run this grant every year or is this just a?
This is
Once.
first time I've ever dealt with it. It's the first time it's come out. I know there's been a big push for less than lethal alternatives. And the taser's that. I mean, I was looking at purchasing beanbag shotguns this year, which I still may bring up, but I do think we need alternatives to other types of force.
I would say just get it. I mean, if they're giving us 15,000.
And it also sounded like in your explanation, since the batteries go dead or they run down if you turn them on, it doesn't sound like every officer turns them on every shift, where if you now have the rechargeable ones, they would or could do that to make sure that when needed,
Correct,
it is working.
correct.
Okay.
And keep a fresh battery that way.
Right.
So you're saying you would take this as an alternative to buying the other guns that you wanted to buy? Is that what you said?
I said I was looking at the beanbag guns as a less than lethal alternative to carry with us. I still like that idea, that option, but I also think that the tasers is good, the good options update.
But I'd say if you've used them 5 times this year already, I mean, obviously it's something that you need. I mean, it's definitely something you guys.
But we
use.
utilize them. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes they just pull out and people know what it is and they stop.
Mhm.
So,
Is, obviously when we bought our last ones, we just paid.
we paid payments. We paid.
Did we make payments on those?
We
Okay.
did, over
I didn't-
5 years.
I didn't remember how we did that.
There's a 5-year cycle.
Okay. So we're gonna be looking at doing this every 5 years is what you're saying.
I would say it's good. It's kind of way they're setting it up because that's what they're only guaranteeing their product for. And like I said, it seems like that's what they're trying to do is make sure that you're updating.
Well, then, I guess I'd have a question for our attorney. Liability wise, if we tase someone, I mean, are we capable of handling that situation in-house or is that?
No, that's not something that we would handle. That's something that insurance and like you said, the company would.
So that
handle.
would be an outside.
Mhm.
So since you were hoping for the grant and you didn't get as much as you hoped for, are you budgeted for this? For
I
this
had-
first cycle and then be able to continue
Well,
as we go?
I had budgeted a large equipment budget this year anyway, expecting to buy like
Time to upgrade.
drones and all this other stuff. So no, this didn't surprise me. I think we'll be fine because I didn't plan for it, but I think the money's there.
mean, from a grant perspective, I'm using this one that's got the 36002. If they're going to grant us 15,686, that's 44%. So, you know, grants that we've turned in recently, there's a 20% match, there's a 50% match. This looks like it has a 44% match. So that's another way of looking at this as a grant.
With 10% off.
And I think I've already.
And you
calculated
figured that in?
Yeah. And then if we could get the training on our own elsewhere, however, that would be an added cost.
Correct, and I think the sheriff, I can't speak for the sheriff. We spoke, they got the same grant. They got 5 tasers also. I don't know what he's gonna do, but he did talk about getting the virtual reality set to train also, so that may be another option we do through the sheriff's office. So.
I would think we just do the 7 that you need and
There.
I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. I mean, it's safety equipment. It's no different than vests or everything that the fire department has to do every time something comes up.
Well, that's why I ask if we're putting our officers in danger if we don't do this, because obviously the ones they have are working.
Right.
You know, it's not like they're gonna be on the street with nothing,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
The only part that scares me is that they don't check them every,
Well, that would be,
No, they're supposed to check them.
oh, okay,
I'm
that would be an
assuming they do check
administrative
them.
thing.
okay,
I don't go out and make sure that I don't check that they check.
okay.
But that's what I'm saying, if they check it more than once a shift, a lot of times they'll drain the batteries down, but just checking it one time.
Oh, okay,
Is fine.
okay.
I bet you if you let them check it on you, they check it.
They come to the house and tase me and then.
I don't know.
I think it's a smart move if we're getting 15,000 on it. I mean, we don't take it now, we might not get anything, might pay all out of pocket. So.
Which one are you looking at, John?
It'd be the 36 and 37, the total cost 36,000.
Well, we won't pay taxes, so.
Yeah.
So 36,002
Yep, 40 cents.
and 40 cents. Tell them you do it if they'll throw in 40 cents in. I don't know.
It'd be $5,079.10 a year.
Do you need an answer tonight, John?
I do, actually, because I've got to turn in the paperwork, accepting the grant if we're gonna accept it. Or I'll tell them we're not accepting it, and then we've got to move forward on it.
But this won't be voted on until November meeting.
Well, it's just letting them know, I shouldn't say accept it, letting them know that it would be accepted, or that it, I don't know how to explain it. Calvin said, when I spoke with him, Calvin Stearns said that if I turn it in, we can still turn it down. But they need the paperwork showing that we're moving forward.
So I guess what she's asking is you could move forward with paperwork without necessarily.
What would the cutoff be for rescinding it if you did apply for it?
Next month at 18th.
So it would still need to be
They're gonna do
the next
something.
meeting.
They're gonna do something. Isn't
That's
it? Leeway to
true.
go to next month.
That's true. I'll be honest, I told John a couple times, I think this is a marketing ploy myself, but
Yeah, we're just at their mercy.
I know, I get that, I understand that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're out there selling all these tasers.
I mean,
Who knows
they are,
when
but there's,
changing hands.
well, I mean, when have we ever
I would
turned down
hope not, but-
$16,000 in grants
Yeah,
to help pay for, to offset the costs? I mean, that's what we always try to stress and do. And we're doing that more now than we ever have. I hate to not,
what do you
use that.
actually need tonight? Just authorization to,
Yes, that we're gonna take it to city council, that we're gonna.
authorization to accept the grant.
Accept the 7 taser, the grant and 7 tasers, I guess.
I mean, kind of how would we make the motion? Because this is actually not gonna cost us anything until January of 26, correct?
Correct.
How would we make that motion?
Because we still have to outlay the cash to be this is a reimbursement grant? That's a question.
No, they're supposed to pay that first,
They
Pay
pay
up
that.
Okay, so we will have no
We
cash
have no
outlay.
cash in this until January of 26.
Alright. Sure had a formula.
authorize it to go by the payment schedule. That's on the,
Okay. I'll make a motion that we accept the grant and authorize the purchase of 7 tasers in the amount of $36,002.40 and follow the payment structure as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Authorization to hire a crossing guard.
so actually, Bill put this in my head. Scott Kiefer, our cleaning guy, I asked him if he wanted to be the crossing guard. And he said he did, so I would like to hire him as a crossing guard for the new pay.
And
Pending.
correct me if I'm wrong, we wouldn't need a physical or did we do?
No, we did, I don't think we did a pre-screen, a drug screen and everything on him since he's a contractor, did we?
Okay,
He did none of the pre-hiring tests because he was,
so I make a motion, we hire Scott Kiefer as crossing guard at the current rate of pay pending
drug screen,
Drug-
physical.
drug screening physical.
Second.
Would it be his current rate of pay or what we established?
No, the crossing guard's current rate of pay.
Okay.
Right, the crossing guard current rate of pay, correct. Okay, we got a motion second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Motion carried. Public comments, anything for the good of the city? Hearing none, with adjourn at 6:37.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Cultural Committee.
I call the cultural committee to order at 6:37 PM. Myself, Damon, Roniker, Giebert, and Dojan are all present. We have no old business, new business. I'd make a motion to approve the prior month's meeting minutes from September 16th, 2024.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion approved. We have a request from St. John's Lutheran to allow vendors at their annual holiday craft fair on November 16th, 2024, from 10 AM to 3 PM. I make a motion, we accept their request.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. We have I'm gonna go a little out of order here. We have a request from the Redbud VFW Post 6632 to collect at the four-way stop on May 23rd, 2025 from 3 PM to 7 PM. I'd like to make a motion, we accept their request.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. And then we have 2 other requests that one from the Redbud Musketeer Boosters Association to collect at the four-way stop on November 22nd, but that will be pending their turnover of their insurance waiver, right? Certificate of liability. So I'd like to make a motion, we accept their request pending their certificate of liability insurance.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. And Santa's Village to collect at the four-way stop on November 29th, 2024 from 2:30 to 4:30. Same thing, pending their certificate of liability insurance. So I'd like to make a motion, we accept that.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Any public comments, anything for the good of the city? I will adjourn cultural committee at 6:39 PM.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Public Works.
I call Public Works at 6:39 with myself, Dojan, Hannibut, Schwarzkopf, and Reinecker all present.
Under old business, power plant report,
It's just been our generation runs as per the schedule.
utilities.
Under electric, we've been discussing some of in past meetings, the project light painting project, been working with Ultra Play. We had a sample piece. I know Rodney was down there. I showed it to him. I know the mayor was down there and I showed, she was able to see the sample piece that they were able to sandblast and dip. We actually did one of the full lights as well. So to work into their schedule, we're gonna do like 10 lights a quarter. So we'll get 10 lights to them. They'll be able to do those and we'll alternate and just kind of, it'll be a 3-4 year plan to do this, but it's to redo those lights along the highways. And then the other project that we're working on is the sports complex lighting project. That's all that energy efficiency funds. Now that the season's kind of over out there, we'll be getting those lights swapped out on Diamond One here soon. So
Josh, one thing, when you said they're dipping, they're gonna be like that
they're
plastic
the
coated
powder
or?
coating, they're sandblasting.
Oh, they're
powder
powder
coating and powder coating them. So
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 the
we
new
just
stuff
strip them
that
down.
we're doing to them, or can we expect them to last longer than what they were?
we're,
before, or-
we just don't, I mean, they're probably gonna be better than the paint that we were putting on it before. So
They were probably powder coated originally.
originally, but then they kept getting painted over and painted over and painted over, so. And they have a, so like when lights get hit, because they get hit quite often, they have some of the paint, whenever they go to fix some of that stuff, whenever they do have to weld a spot, they can get us some of that material to be able to paint back over that to match it back up.
Just curious, what's their, when you drop off 10, what's their turnaround time?
Well, we figure we're doing 10 a quarter, so it's just, I'm gonna get them all 10, and as they finish them, they'll let us know, we'll go pick them up, and then the next quarter, we'll drop another 10. It's just working into their production.
Sure,
It's just kind of whatever fit into their schedule.
that's great.
How many extra do you have?
What's that?
How many?
Extras? None. So we'll just alternate lights when we take them down.
Oh, okay.
So we won't take a straight line, straight run out. We'll alternate and take, so we still have lights in play.
Did you talk about globes too? Some of the
We're gonna
globes?
redo the globes, since we're taking them down. We're putting basically new guts into them.
Yeah, they've been there a while.
Yep.
They're
So-
yellow.
And this is money that's budgeted, so I had already money figured for this, and now they're holding the pricing on this for through 25. So we'll get basically 50 lights done at the current pricing, which is like 185 a light or something like that. And then we'll look at the pricing after that.
Do we know how many we have?
160-ish,
So 4-year project.
4 or 5 year project, but you gotta figure if we're doing 185 a light, by the time you buy a globe, you're maybe 500-600 in a light.
Is that just the ones on the highway or?
Yes, highway, Rats Park, Golf Course, all the ones on the highway and the ones back there.
They're the ones at Lincoln still good.
For right now, I mean, so this is
20
just the
years old
ones
now,
here,
too.
so,
They're not that old.
Great.
you're looking at, if you're spending $600-700 a light for everything new versus probably a new one that's $2,500-3,000.
Wonderful.
Has anybody talked to like the foundation or anybody that they would have? I don't know how you guys are doing it. Do you just put like a project out there and let people decide what they want to?
We can, I mean, we can bring it to us or some kind of project
know.
the city has.
I mean, I'm just wondering if, because a lot of people donated a lot of money to make that happen in the first place. Is
Yeah.
what
And
I'm
the
getting-
plaques that are on them will go right back on them, so.
I'm just wondering if there's people out there that would be willing to donate to that project. And I don't know how you would do it. other than
Because I have a master list of where
through the foundation.
every single lamp post is supposed to be.
Yeah.
The plates are supposed to be, because
Yeah.
certain
Just
people
thought.
want their plaque in their spots,
I mean,
and I've been told about it.
if that's the case, if it's one that's not plaqued yet, let them get that one powder coated and throw their name on it.
So that's just an update on that. Nothing else on that. If you guys have any other questions, that's just an ongoing thing. There's nothing under gas. Water, we have the hydrant replacement, North Main. That's been a battle trying to get that scheduled up, but we're finally getting that. We're getting an assertive output in that. And then getting that hydrant replaced on North Main and East Pine. And then nothing else under sewer streets.
Okay. Utility rate studies.
On the electric side, the utility financial solutions, no new update. We've been updating spreadsheets with the data. We should be meeting here with UFS in a week or so just to check on the progress. So we've been gathering data, trying to get stuff put in so they can start reviewing it, and then we'll kind of keep reviewing it. And there's a timeline that was in there that we're following, so. And then, under the, Illinois Rural Water, I did receive the final report. Reviewing the details and then getting some recommendations put together, be presented at a later committee meeting. Jill did get a string of emails from, I guess, the Swim Southwest group or whatever of some other communities that what they're doing for rates. So I'll kind of look at what that was versus what this one showed and come back with some recommendations later.
Okay, backhoe replacement.
I have met with 3 different vendors, Luby for Case, McCoy, which is the deer, and Fabic, which is the Caterpillar. Discuss purchase options versus lease options. I've got one quote back so far. They're still working through some of the details and different things. You know, when you look at lease versus outright purchase, you know, we have to start considering, okay, do we want to, you know, they were saying you lease, you're just paying to use it. You don't build any equity, anything. You don't have the piece of equipment. You don't have the depreciable asset, that type of stuff. And if you purchase, then you can have something where then if you get in a consistent replacement plan, like don't keep the 04 for 20 years, you know, get it to where you're replacing it every, you know, 6, 7, whatever it is, while it still has good value. You trade it back in, you can get model that's still,
Sure.
you know, so just, we're still working through them, working and getting those quotes. And as soon as I start getting that and getting that information together, I'll be presented at a later meeting.
Okay. New business, I'd like to make a motion. We approve prior month's meeting minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is a request for Brian Schleter's step pay increase to $22.38 an hour, effective November 27th, 2024.
Yeah, I just wanted to get this in because of the timing and everything. His step pay increase, that'll be his, after his 6-month probationary period's over, but because of how the meetings fell, I just wanted to make sure I got this on
Okay.
to be approved. So that would just be, we did start him at 50 cents lower than what the full rate is. So that's what we've been doing lately. So this is just getting him to the full labor's pay rate, which would be that first full pay period following that 6-month probationary period time.
So I make a motion. We approve the step pay increase to $22.38 an hour, effective November 27th. Second.
Uh,
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Succession planning.
Yeah, this has been the ongoing that we've been talking about. I know I presented the plan previously. This is just the updated plan as to where we're at now. We do have an upcoming retirement looking at about April 1st of next year. So, and I met with Kurt and I think maybe we talked before a little bit about what was going on with some of this and trying to how we're going to plan this. I did put some other information together on everybody else's information on there as well, on their hire dates and projected retirement dates. You know, obviously some of them way out there because some of the younger employees, but, and then this will just kind of be a plan that I just kind of review and rework as retirements come in. But the next steps for us would be, what I would look at would be to request authorization to proceed with a succession plan to advertise for electric positions and any subsequent open positions, depending on the candidate selected. So I would need authorization to be able to start this process because currently we do not have an open position. Once we have an open position, the mayor can give authorization to advertise for that open position. But just kind of following this plan, if we can start trying to get people in place to where upon the retirement that we're fully staffed still and that we have that. So we just have a little bit of an overlap. Same type of thing that we did when Kenny was retiring from the gas department. We brought in Clint, 3-year step plan. Same thing when Keith retired from the in the power plant, we brought in Daniel about a year ahead of time, let him work under it, step up, and then once that retirement come in, took over full responsibilities.
So Josh, because I know the main one you're probably talking about is going to be in the electrical. What do you, with that coming in April, that's a pretty big position to fill. Have you got someone in place that's going to take that position?
We would have potentially somebody internal for that position, yes.
So will you, when these positions come open, will you advertise internally first?
Yes, I'm
And then-
required to.
Oh, okay.
I advertise it internally first, and then if we get a candidate, I would come back to you and say, okay, I'd like to make a recommendation that we would move this candidate to that position. If that's the case, then that opens up that position.
okay.
I would have to start the next, now I need to advertise for that position internally. And if we don't get a candidate after my internal, then I would go outside like I normally do.
Okay.
And then in theory, if looking at this, you'd be looking at potentially 2 internal candidates moving up and then hiring down.
Sure.
Some, you know, from a different position.
So basically, we just want to kind of,
Just authorization to move forward
With
with
the-
starting this process to advertise for the leadman positions to start.
okay,
And then if we can fill that, then we would just start that process.
I got it.
That way, trying to have those positions filled and with the right manpower prior to the retirement.
So I make a motion that we accept the succession plan to allow him to start advertising this as needed.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. Next item is gas department, FR clothing ordinance.
Yeah, what you see in front of you is actually from the electric arc flash ordinance. I just pulled this out to show what city provided items are from an electric standpoint versus what partnership items are, and then what, you know, employee provided items. I would like to get authorization because there's a lot of these things and talking to USDI, and when we go out to the take point right now, they say have to have FR clothing to be able to come into this take point. And some of the tasks that they do with gas and stuff would require FR clothing. Wouldn't require everything that you see in this list. I would tweak it for the gas department. Just want to kind of use this as the, you know, template. If you guys are good to get to where we can draft an ordinance to allow for the FR clothing purchase for the gas department employees as well, per the plan, you know, and with the applicable items.
Sure. This is just giving this,
This is just a reference on
Right.
how what it is.
So you
it would-
basically just want to get started to get
Just-
the ordinance put together.
and amend this one
Right.
for the gas department needs.
Okay.
So are there, I know like, at least the stuff that I wear for gas and that, it can be worn anywhere. Is there limits on this? Or like, is there a number of long sleeve shirts you're gonna buy? Are there a number of blue jeans to buy?
We supply a few for them, and then, you know, as they
Okay.
wear out, they have to turn them in, then we would get new.
Oh, okay.
So that's what the same thing we've done on the electric side of things. So, and if like, for instance, they want a hoodie or something,
Sure.
that's a partnership item. That's not 100% paid for. So.
Okay. Anybody else got any questions? If not, make a motion that Josh, go ahead and put together a clothing ordinance for the gas department. All in favor? Motion carries. Okay, and next item is a proposal from Vandeventer Engineering for the sewer.
Yes, just the, this one's for the sewer side, it's the blower maintenance and the replacement of the check valves. Would just request authorization of the proposal as presented. This is for necessary repairs and maintenance on the blowers that supply air for the treatment process.
So it's 54.
54, 56,
56.
and 54 cents, yes.
I make a motion, we approve the blower maintenance to replace check valves not to exceed 5,500.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is the award of the vertical turbine pump replacement.
Yes, our high service pump and motor. So this is the pumps that pump the water from our clear well out to the towers.
Okay.
And using one of them, it's an older, it's developed a pretty significant leak. After having it checked out, they say, you know, we probably do a full replacement because you try and Band-Aid it, it's just not gonna. And then plus if you can do the motor and the pump itself, then it's warranted together because the motor and the pump go together.
Is
Then
that,
it's actually under warranty.
sure, is that still original from,
It's
or it's been there a long time?
the pumps, I think so. I believe, as far as I know.
Sure.
And the nice thing is the motor that we currently have, we have one other spare now. So if this would just be fixing the one high service pump, the motor that's there, plus another spare that we have spare motors now for the other high service. So that motor that's there can be reused
Sure,
or saved as, you know, backup
As a
for the
backup.
for the other pump.
okay.
Do you guys perform annual maintenance on those?
They're checked. I mean, so
Okay.
Vandeventer was checked. It's just this one just all of a sudden had a leak. They
Yeah.
kind of come in and it's to the point where it's not.
Sure.
That's not nothing you really planned on.
It's nothing that was planned, but I did look over the budget money figures, and so what we had figured in, we can make this work.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to accept the bid from Vandeventer for not to exceed $43,000 for new pump and motor for the high service water line.
Second.
On favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Any other public comments?
I have one other thing. To go along with the safety and the FR clothing, do you guys require anybody working on the gas to have like 6 gas monitors or 4 gas monitors?
We have gas monitors in all the trucks. I mean, we don't necessarily have, we're not,
You don't
we
wear
don't
them?
have to have the monitors on us.
Okay.
But we do have, when it's like for confined space, we have the monitors, the air quality monitors for that kind of stuff.
Okay.
For our confined space.
Yeah.
But for what we're doing, no, just
Okay.
because we're usually an open atmosphere.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then I was just curious where we're at on, we was talking about sidewalks. the last few
Waiting
months.
on Hanky. The rain that we had a couple weeks ago pushed him back. I actually talked to him last week. So we should be getting those areas taken care of here soon.
Okay.
But it's still, I've been talking to him every week and he goes, I was expecting your phone call. Well, yeah, I'm gonna keep on you until you show up. So.
Okay.
Any other comments? If not, I adjourn at 6:55.
Okay, next up is zoning.
Thank you, Mayor. Call the zoning committee meeting to order at 6:55. Myself, Giebert, Schwarzkopf, Demond, and Nevoy all present. Old business, Jeff, do you have a Redbud Business Park update?
Yes, our friend at IDOT is retiring November 15th. So we will be meeting with her, in fact, tomorrow. We want to be able to get our entrance permit finalized prior to her retirement. So we're gonna find out what we need to do there. Water and sewer, I thought we'd have had them permits back by now, to be honest with you. We haven't, so they should be coming in any day. We'll then proceed with plans and specs. They're already at about 90%. Next month at committees, my thinking is that I'll ask you guys to be able to go out for bids. We'll accept plans and specs and then proceed with bids, looking at construction beginning next spring.
Thanks, Jeff. Moving on to new business, make a motion to approve prior month's meeting minutes.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Any public comments, anything for the good of the city? Hearing none, I adjourn the zoning committee at 6:57.
Okay, thank you. Last committee meeting of the evening, recreational facilities.
Thank you, Mayor. Myself, Hannibal, Nevoy, Peel, and Demond are all present. I'll call to order at 6:57. No old business. Under new business, I'd make the motion to accept prior month's meeting minutes from September 16th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The second item is the park shelter reservations fees. This is something that myself and the mayor spoke about for a little bit. And the idea was essentially to waive the fees up front. You know, should they be a charitable church organization, rather than ask us every time to waive a fee, we can just do it. So if hearing any objection to that, I would make a motion as presented to move forward with that. With whatever discussion you guys want to have.
We'd just be authorizing her to make the change.
I would make that a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Josh, I will let you speak to this one.
Yeah, this was, I did not realize it was the invoice for the lawnmower that we had and it inadvertently got missed at the last meetings. I did not realize it was in my email and their fiscal year is ending and they're trying to close out their books by the end of this month. So they were just trying to see about getting that invoice taken care of. So this has already been something that was approved and taken care of. Just trying to get the invoice taken care of for them so they can close out their books. It was a miss on my part in my email.
So we've got them already.
What's that? We've
We
got
have
the
the
mower.
mower.
That's correct. Yep.
So I just need to make a motion to accept the,
To make the payment for the invoice, it's on the city council agenda, the special council meeting agenda.
okay, I make the motion to make the payment as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item will be a memorial stone that Tim Fahey has a small letter in here. It looks like they're asking for authorization to be able to have it placed down at Rats Park. I do not see any issues with it. I like seeing the history and, you know, of all that kind of stuff. So I would make it a motion to accept as presented and Josh, is this something that you guys would need to set, or how would you want to do that?
I would, it looks like it was just a concrete stone, probably something similar to what we had done for John with the tree for Mr. Paul Borgers.
Actually, in talking to Tim Fahey, it seemed like they were going to get some volunteer efforts to help.
You know,
So-
it's just, they could put it in that mulch area right there by the dog waste station. I think
Yep.
it's where that was at, so.
Okay. Then I would just vote to authorize the Parks Committee to place the stone at the park.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item is the YMC pool report.
So what you were seeing here is, this is not a finalized report. We were supposed to have the finalized numbers. We have not received confirmation. She was pretty, like 90% confident that these numbers were going to be her annual report. Once you break it down and actually look at it, it really is not far off of what was budgeted, for our 2024 budget. 2024, we had budgeted for 33,000. We're gonna owe 34, almost 35. So with our actual costs to YMCA. However, when we met with the director, there were a lot of administrative fees that she said that they were not yet billing us, that they've just kind of done as a courtesy. So if they move forward, they're going to tack on those administrative fees to this. So in addition to what we're gonna currently owe, next year, the budget will in essence be higher than what we are paying right now.
Like how much administrative?
She
fees?
did not say. We talked about a couple different options. One of the options would be like just moving forward as we did this year, with YMCA running everything. Another option, I wanted to know how much it would be just for her to certify, train the lifeguards and kind of oversee that. And then possibly if we had an independent pool manager like we had in the past, who could manage the pool more on a regular basis.
Yeah,
Somebody from the community.
the YMCA has not been impressive at all. I don't think they've made half the requirements as far as what they're supposed to have in their contract and everything else. So any other options, I think that they should be very much entertained with what we could or couldn't do.
And I mean, I have to, in full disclosure too, with the state and age of the pool, they are very hesitant to move forward, trying to work with that. They do not want to be responsible for the water management, because it is such an antiquated system. Their staff are young. They're not trained on those types of pumps. I know Josh has gone over it multiple times with them. He's got all the instructions settled out. But because it fluctuates so much and then there's the sand and there's just issues always, it seems to be like with the pool, just due to its age. Her staff are very uncomfortable with maintaining the water quality.
I will say though, that I'm also, and Kyle, I like Kyle, very disappointed in the fact that the pool managers and the aquatics people that they've had that are supposed to know how to do that haven't.
Yeah, I'm
Jen, when
literally
she was
biting my-
here, knew exactly what was going on. Even though the YMCA ran it, Jen knew what was going on. Jen told me that at that time, it seems like the aquatics directors and the main pool that they've had don't seem that they're understand how to do it. I don't,
No
So-
one's managing the lifeguards who are teenagers out there running the pool. When you go out there and the vacuum is in pieces, you know it hasn't been used for days and there's sand at the bottom of the pool. You don't know how bad the sand problem is because they're not vacuuming the pool. And then when I check the chemicals while they're standing there and they're twice the chlorine of what it's supposed to be, and they're not doing what they're supposed to do, it's kind of hard to want to pay administrative fees for the YMCA when they're not managing their people.
I'd like to see a
I'm-
list of the administrative fees because that's a very broad term.
Sure.
Well,
And
we
we have the
we would
contract.
have to have all that before we enter into agreement with. them.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. And so
Yeah.
I believe November 1st is our deadline to have something from them.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed, Kyle. I talked to Kyle about it a couple years ago already to take it back over and do it in-house ourselves. But I think the thing we're gonna have to realize, it's gonna cost us as much or more every year to do that. So, I mean, I don't know that we gain anything other than having our own
The control.
I think we have more.
Control.
control over
Oversight.
it.
Control would be,
that,
Nice.
and quite obviously, it would be finding the right pool manager. I
We need-
mean, we had one guy down there for
We need-
30 years that did a wonderful job, you know.
We
Could we
need-
fall into that kind of a person again? I don't know,
We need Ron back.
you know, so.
So hopefully I'll have more figures on what it would cost for, because I do really see the value of having YMCA do all the training with the certification and lifeguard training. I think they do a good job with that. And I know that would be something that it would be very hard for us to find somebody, if we find a pool manager, that they would also be certified to certify other lifeguards at the same time. So I think that would be a very reasonable ask. But I don't know what that's gonna cost us. So until I get those numbers for her.
and the other thing, like, I know it may not sound like much, but it is frustrating when you go out there and there's just a ton of kids hanging out in that pool house. The concession stand, which was recently redone and with volunteer work, is sitting empty. Next year, that splash pad is gonna have a lot of traffic, and we need people to man that. And if the YMCA is not gonna watch their people, it would be nice to have other options. It's just saying. So, any other questions with regards to this before?
I mean, is this the official invoice or is it?
No.
No, this is preliminary.
As of right now, correct?
No, they were just required to get us a preliminary, so this is the messy preliminary at this point, but we wanted to share this much at least with you.
Moving on to the next, cool item. I was not a part of this per se, so I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Josh, Jill, Sue, you guys did walk through and just kind of came up with everything that
That, yeah.
I did notice that quite a bit of it looks like just general maintenance items, which is nice, but there's obviously some, higher ticket items on there. I think that the ask is, what are we willing to do? What do we want to do? I mean, obviously, we're not talking about closing the pool, but what do we need to do to the pool house? Because even if one day we do close the pool, are we going to push in the building, or do we want to have a building that's still going to be there for something else? So there's maintenance items that we need to consider at some point.
Yeah.
And I know we've already approved the tuck pointing and stuff like that. We haven't moved on it yet because now it sounds like there's a roof leak.
Issue.
And what order do we want to do stuff? And how do we want to do it?
And the main thing there is, I think, before you consider anything else, you need to probably get the roof taken care of, because tuck pointing, it's not going to do you any good if the water's getting back down into the walls. So I think the roof would be first and foremost a priority if you're wanting to keep that going.
Looking at roof replacement,
Yeah, I would think, I don't know what
it's got a
It's-
flat roof on it, doesn't it?
it,
Yeah. Mhm.
to a point, yeah, it's considered flat roof, I guess, but
I mean, the leak was significant enough that we walked in and I thought somebody had left a faucet on. And then we turned around to the boys' restroom area and it was running in that
I mean,
significantly.
it's something that probably should have been addressed a long time ago.
yeah, if we're not out there when it's raining, it just happened to be
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, it was
you know,
the big deluge day.
I'm not putting a blame on anybody.
Yeah,
I'm just
no,
saying
it's-
Something that,
When generally when it's storming and raining, nobody's
I
at the
mean,
pool.
is it something that the Y should have made us aware of, or is it something,
Is that not something that we can get covered under insurance too, with all the hailstorms we've had, at least
I don't know
partial?
if it's damage or just fact that it's
Age.
40
63 years old.
I'm sure it is. That's what I was asking the question. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure the roof has probably lived its lifespan.
Okay.
Then beyond that, the pump room, I don't know if any of you have been in the pump room, but it's an adventure down there.
Yeah.
Is it safe? Is it long-term viability? Those filters, the sand, there's some issues down under as well.
I think the next move with this would be to tag things that we think are just general maintenance and start getting them done.
Agreed.
And the higher ticket items, prioritize them.
Because the big thing is, like I said, with the sand coming in,
Like
not
obviously
knowing where
roof
that's,
would be priority
Right.
one.
Right.
and then go from there and do what we can in any given year and.
So knowing that we need to wait on fixes that we've previously approved, would we be opposed to me saying, allow Josh to get quotes see what it would cost to fix the roof? Before we get into just to see what it's gonna cost us? Or can you just go out and get a general estimate and maybe
Well, I
put
mean, I
some of
could
this stuff
talk to
together and knock out the
Reaping.
regular items?
I mean, yeah, we're gonna have to get an estimate on it. at some
Yeah,
point.
I mean, that way, I don't know. We
And
gotta
that
figure out to know what to budget for and everything else. And there is a little bit of, there's money in there for working on some of the pumps and there's
Yeah,
some
we have-
line items that
We
we
have
have,
some capital dollars there.
but
There's some items in here and I'll kind of toss this to Rodney. Those little small walls when you walk in are very cracked and looking a little hazardous. Once you start doing renovation to a wall, do we step into some ADA areas?
You can because of the requirements here.
So that, we've got to keep that in
And
the
I
back
think-
of our mind that we got to be careful with renovations before we step into big renovations.
Or I mean, are you just fixing the wall? You're not moving anything, so that's where I guess that
Gray area.
the gray area there is, this is cracked and falling, we need to fix this and fix this and put it back as it is.
right, as long as we're doing our general maintenance,
General
we
maintenance.
don't run into ADA.
That's what I.
So
would
fix what we have, don't add on.
Yeah, that's-
Josh,
that's-
is that a rubber roof on that or?
Honestly, I don't know. I've not been up, I don't know.
We can get together, prioritize some of this as you asked and bring it back next month. Maybe, do you think we could get a roof quote in the next month?
If
If he wants to look at it, I mean,
I can get him.
Is it an-
If some rough
and
ideas.
A
depending-
subcontractor and get a bid put up together on.
Okay.
Okay. Any other further discussion with regards to the spreadsheet?
The only thing I've got is, no matter what you do, if we don't do something about that piping. Well, that's what I'm saying. I need to prioritize,
Right.
not gonna help with the roof. If we can
Yeah, like,
hire a dollar
how much is
before
all this gonna
painting
cost
the
and
pool.
then figure out what we're gonna do.
Yeah,
The sand is a huge unknown.
I know.
We also don't know how much they weren't vacuuming, which is a thing. Because,
I will say that the amount of sand that they hand dug out after the filters were all out, filled the back of a backhoe bucket all the way up. What they hand shoveled out.
But the sand's only coming from one source.
So the sand's coming through. It's blowing into the pool, going down through the drain, which then
Right.
goes down and goes into the filter and gets into the filter basin and doesn't go anywhere
But it's
else.
a sand filter, right?
It's a diatomaceous earth.
Okay.
No, so we got a void under the conduit.
There's a void
Some-
somewhere and we
Okay.
don't know where.
But if there were, if
Which
they were,
getting big enough, it would be easier to find.
Right. Like I said, if it's not in the deck, because Vic Moore had replaced a lot of that piping around the deck, around the pool. And that's PVC. And so when we talked to Vic. A couple years ago, whenever it was, we went, he goes, try these areas because this is where I made connections from the PVC over to. The existing piping that then went down to the basement. Because when you look at the plans, everything is flipped. Because the pool was originally designed to be on the other side of the road. But the plans never got updated, so when you have to look at it, everything is basically flip-flopped.
fantastic.
but if there was more vacuuming of the pool, the sand wouldn't get down to those diatomaceous filters?
I don't know, because,
We're not, again, sure when it's coming in.
and the weird thing about it is we had sand the year before. I wasn't having any sand issues because I was running the vacuum daily. I was running the vacuum daily, didn't see any sand. The minute they opened the pool, all of a sudden. There was sand in there. I don't know. Why all of a sudden, that maybe because the vacuum wasn't being ran. Too. So.
Same. Okay,
Okay, we'll work on the list.
yep. Item 7, anything for good of the order? Hearing none, I will adjourn at 7:14.
Okay, that concludes committees. We'll take a really short pause and then launch into a quick special council meeting.